I just hit the stool for the one, been a minute or something like it was sabbatical. And the weapons I'm slinging, I'm keeping them hidden for the devil in case it get tactical. Man, I hugged my body, I came out that water, my spirit was gone, Galactica. If I'm stepping, I'm standing my 10, I'm about to go dumb, we finna go radical. Tell them get out they feelings, they talking about stuff that they did, but I know they ain't did it. And I got on my knees when I was my lowest for sure, so I know I'm forgiven. I was running with bulls, passing the plays like Michael was doing with Pippen. Had the cape on my back when I'm talking no cat, but I was just saving the villains. Don't be telling me that I was harder before I was saved, cause homie, I'm harder. If they thought I went dumb before I was saved, I tell them I'm going retarded.
Welcome again. Our guest today is someone whose story proves that age is no barrier to influence, leadership, or change. At just 20 years old, Precious Berry has already made a mark as a youth activist, dynamic public speaker, and tireless advocate for marginalized voices. From interviewing local politicians at just 14 years old to founding the first NAACP chapter at Washington University in St. Louis, she has consistently turned passion into purpose. Precious, welcome. It's an honor to have you here.
Hi, thank you all. It's so great to be here. Oh my goodness, I'm super excited.
No, thank you for coming. I know you're busy, so we'll get right into it. Still, talk to us a little bit about, 14-year-old Precious and what made you walk into civic engagement so early when most teens were not really focused on that.
Yeah, so when I can go back to when I was 14, I was in middle school and I was doing a National History Day project. And the project was if you could talk about any historical figure that you really looked up to, um, who would you present or just do someone that really has made an impact in your life or someone that just inspires you.
Mhm.
So I remember doing a history fair project on Shirley Chisholm. Now, I did this project about a year ago with a former student, peer in my classroom, and we did the Birmingham bombing. And
Oh,
so this year I was doing an individual research paper, my first ever research paper at 14. I had to learn about Chicago style footnotes. So if anyone knows about Chicago style footnotes, it's a lot of work that goes into it.
mhm.
And so when I was doing my research on Shirley Chisholm, I was like, I never heard of her before. And learning that she was the first Black woman ever elected into Congress in 1968 and the first Black woman to ever run for president in 1972, it
Wow.
was like a spark that just clicked in my mind. It was like, I need to know more about my history. I need to know more about who's making changes in my communities and people that look just like me are making those changes and breaking those barriers. So once I learned about her, I remember just saying, like, this is the turning point for me. This is when I'm going to start working on youth platforms or working with young people or being in town hall meetings and um I attended Riverview Garden School District in St. Louis. This is a district that is provisionally accredited, not a lot of resources. And so I never wanted to be defined by my zip code. So after just doing all of that research, I was like, this is going to be that moment for me to bring that folding chair to every table that I represented myself as late great Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm stated, and just showed up and showed out for my community and making sure that young people had a voice in the decision making process.
Well, that's excellent, man. You just taught me a lot. I got to look up Shirley Chisholm. I feel like there's a movie on it. Is
Yes,
there a movie on
yes.
it? Yeah, I think I saw the.
Yes, with Regina King. With
Yeah,
Regina King. Yes, yes. Came out on
definitely look
Netflix.
into that story. That's powerful. I didn't know that she ran for president. Well,
My
wow,
goodness. See, this is history that we got to teach about. This is history
definitely,
we got to learn about.
definitely. But speaking of history and where you grew up, the great St. Louis area, um, your bio was telling me that you grew up in a place called Riverview Gardens. Can you just share with us
Yeah.
a little bit how that community shaped you to becoming who you are today?
Yeah, so Riverview Gardens is actually located in one of the highest communities of poverty in the St. Louis County area, the 63136 zip code, and also share part of the 63137 zip code. And I mentioned it earlier, coming out of this school district, there are a lot of stereotypes and misconceptions that they put on a lot of school districts and that come from poverty, not having the resources, low economic development, food deserts, communities of poverties, not a lot of healthy environments and sustainability, and of course, environmental racism. So once you have students that are placed in a district like that, it is a lot of stereotypes that come with that. Oh, you are defined by your zip code. With me, I wanted to rectify that. I didn't want to have suspended futures because of what my zip code was destined in, and what how it showed up and how it showed out for a lot of just not just young people, but just the residents and the community stakeholders that resided in those communities. So I remember joining the parent town hall meetings after I learned about Shirley Chisholm.
Mhm.
And people would say, "Who's that child? Who's that girl in that parent town hall meeting?" And I wouldn't be with a parent. I would just be by myself. And I'd be like, "Oh, that's me. Like, I want to represent my community." And if people know, I'm going to always represent Riverview Gardens School District because I've been in the school district K through 12. And now I'm at Washington University in St. Louis, one of the greatest, I would say, universities in this nation, and continuing to share that story of how Riverview really shaped me in the path that I'm in, and continuing to just show out for my community in the best way that I know that I can, and leaning on to mentors and leaders in my community to just do the work that is necessary.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess that makes me want to really ask you about if there was ever like a minute or a moment where you realized that, okay, I have a voice and people are listening.
Mhm. That's a good question. Um, I would say when I first came to Washington University, I experienced something called imposter syndrome. Are you familiar with that term?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. If correct me
Yeah,
if I'm wrong, it's when you don't feel like you belong, right?
don't feel like you belong, questioning your worth, being in spaces where you're like, am I really capable for this? Or can I do this? Or just having those thoughts, that was just circling my mind so many times. And I remember having the opportunity to write an article on a young black person coming from Riverview Garden School District to coming into one of the top universities, and having to comment on how I felt in that moment of that transition, because you're coming from a predominantly black school to a predominantly white institution. So
Hmm.
I constantly asked myself many of times, like, am I worthy of being in this space? So that was kind of composed in that article, and it was more of like I wasn't just representing for myself. I was representing for other young black people coming from similar school districts to coming into other predominantly white institutions, prestigious institutions, illustrious institutions, as they say. And the comment section in the articles, I don't know, I'm one of those nerds that will read the comment sections in the articles just to see where people thought process is.
We
And
are
you have 50% of people saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, 50% of people saying, oh, she should be grateful that she got a full ride scholarship. She's going to this good institution that's going to provide her free education. And then you have the other side. We're saying, I understand how she feels. We all experience imposter syndrome, not even just in the educational environment, but also in our workplace when
yeah.
we get promoted. Are we capable of being in this position? Am I going to conquer this position or execute this position as others? And those were just the back and forth comments that I got, but I felt like I really had the power in my hands of having that voice to be able to comment on something such controversial, I should say, and a topic that really can resonate to a lot of high school students that are transitioning into college, or college students that probably still feel the same way, because I was originally going to Howard University. But they didn't give me that full ride. And so I had to make the financial decision, in the best decision that I knew best, of learning about financial literacy at first, if I want to say that out. And also saying, okay, this is where I'm going to go because the money is here. I won't be in debt. And so all of that goes entail into making that decision for you with college. And so that's why those thoughts came up, because I felt like since I grew up in a predominantly black school district, I needed to go to a HBCU to keep that same thing going for me and be around that same culture. But being here has definitely opened up a lot of doors and helped me expand that diversity palette, and being very open to meeting different cultures and races and so much more.
Hmm. As I listen to you talk about imposter syndrome, it really, I resonated with that because I've dealt with some of that myself. But
Yeah.
if there's somebody listening who is, a young high school person or even somebody old who may have just recently got a promotion or is struggling with imposter syndrome, how did you navigate that terrain, and what advice would you give them in finding their true ground and believing in themselves?
Yeah, the biggest advice that I could give to anyone who's probably struggling with this or having those thoughts is no one can tell your story better than you can.
Mm,
No one knows the path that you've been on better than you do. And I think that once you learn to do that, you can be able to go through anything. And I always tell people that sometimes we're always not going sometimes we have to learn to be comfortable while feeling uncomfortable.
mm,
And we have to get adjusted into that because we are going to be in spaces where I feel uncomfortable. I don't feel like I'm here, but we have to learn to adjust. And that's just not even in the educational field. It's in the job field. It's when you get promoted. It's in leadership positions. It's just life. I'm 20 now. When I was 19, I'm like, ugh. Now I'm 20 and now I'm seeing life differently. I gotta pay bills. I gotta do all these things. I have to learn to be comfortable while feeling uncomfortable. I have to learn to adjust to things that are foreign to me. And I would say that's just
mm,
that's developmental. And I would say to tell anybody is that you got this. I'm a Christian and I believe that God will never open up any doors that isn't meant for you, and that
mm,
long as you walk through those doors that God has given you, you can be able to just take over anything, and with having his faith and being able to just do anything that you are destined to do. Anything seems impossible until it's done. That was from the words of Nelson Mandela, and I believe that.
mm. That's powerful, man. Being young, black, and a woman in activism, people can underestimate you before you even speak. What are some moments you've been dismissed or overlooked, and how did you push through that?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Let me think. There was a time where I was doing a presentation at St. Louis University called it was called the School to Prison Pipeline.
Hmm.
Are you familiar with the School to Prison Pipeline? It's
I've heard
basically
of
an
it, but
initiative.
please educate me.
Yeah. It's an initiative that just strips students out of the classroom at such a young age into our um system, our legal system, criminal justice system.
Hmm,
They strip them out of the classrooms, and that's through policies, that's through initiative, that's through different programs that they have. And what they're doing is having young people have suspended futures. And what I was realizing was that a lot of young black people were disciplined higher than their white counterparts. And these were young black kids that were having a disability. If they had a disability, they're disciplined higher than their counterparts. They're not given the right resources. A lot of these kids that were stripped out of the classrooms were coming from broken households, a community of poverty. When we speak about environmental racism, we also speak about kids that are living in homes that has lead in it, and that is also affecting the mental health outcome of our young people. So all of these are contributing factors into young people having the behavior outcomes that they're having. Some things that they can't control, some things that are environmental, some things that are social, some things that are family esteem. All of those things are contributing factors. And so when I was doing this presentation on the school to prison pipeline and how this professor from St. Louis University, he passed away a few years back. His name is Norman A. White, and he wanted to focus on young people not having those suspended futures and young people
hmm,
having a way and making a way out of no way and making those crooked lines straight.
hmm.
And I remember a professor came up to me because this is also one of the most intimidating well, I won't say intimidating, but challenging speeches that I've done because it was just judges and lawyers and professors in the audience. Mind you, I'm trying to go to college. So I'm like, this like the tables were turned for me. And I remember him saying, wow, I did not know that there were smart people at Riverview.
Oh, wow.
So when I heard that comment, it was like, wow, it was more of like that fuel to the fire of like,
Mhm,
it was like I've heard people always say or people mention to me that people felt this way about Riverview, but no one has physically said anything to my face about how they underestimated Riverview students. And so when the person actually came up to me and said that comment, I didn't know that there were smart people at Riverview. I was like, a lot of people base us off stats and what community members are saying, what our economic status is saying. It was more of like this was that wake up calling for me. So I felt like I was definitely underestimated before that speech, because I'm thinking about what did he think before I got up on stage about who I was versus how he heard how I was after that speech.
It sounds like you blew him away. Um,
Yeah.
well, activism is rewarding, but it can also be draining. So, what is it that you do as a college student to stay grounded and not lose yourself in the fight?
Um, a lot of people ask me that question a lot. What do you do for fun? Like, what do you do that just helps you balance that mental health? I go to therapy once a week. I value my mental health.
That's what's
I'm
up.
not perfect. I do make mistakes. I always make sure that I say that because I don't want people to think that I have it all together. I'm still learning. I don't know it all, but I want to be able to grow and learn because life does have its challenges. So each and every day I'm faced with a new challenge, but I know that God has given me the strength to be able to help persevere through those challenges and being grateful. And so every day I try to find something that I'm grateful about. And I was just telling someone this earlier today, like when I wake up in the morning I say thank you God for waking me up and giving me another day to make it better than
Mm.
yesterday.
Amen.
And so I'm really big in my faith, going and taking care of my mental health. And I love TV. People don't know this about me. I love TV. I love watching TV. I love watching sitcoms to TV series to just shows on Netflix. And so that is something that I do. And I love my friends. My friends keep me grounded in who I am. And sometimes if I'm questioning myself, my friends, they'll tell me things I don't want to hear that I need to hear. And
Mm.
so having those people in my corner are the people that really just shows up for me. And those are the people that I can count on. And I have a really small circle of friends, but I'm the type of person is that I'm going to do the best that I can for my friends and my family and the people that support me and just ride.
That's good to hear. I wanted to ask you, I know it's a little off topic, but what show are you watching on Netflix right now?
So I was watching Forever. And I think that was the last series that I was
Okay.
watching. Forever. I don't know if you know about Forever.
I know nothing
It's
about it,
about
but
this.
I'm gonna have to check it out if if it's interesting. What's it about?
Yes, these two teenage couples.
Okay.
Um, one of the girlfriend. It's kind of hard to explain, but the girlfriend basically had a boyfriend that the mom knew about. The boyfriend exposed the girl to the whole football team.
Oh,
She wanted to break up with the boyfriend, but it was during the time of prom, and the mom was struggling. She was hardworking mom, full-time mom. She was even taking on shifts that wasn't even, capable for her to do because she wanted to be home with her daughter, but she couldn't. These were
oh man,
high
you
school.
giving all the details.
Yeah, and so since the mom couldn't take care, I mean, since the mom only had a little bit of her savings, the only thing that the mom wanted from the daughter is for her to just make her smile. And so the mom had these certain savings set up to give the daughter for her prom. Mind you, the daughter didn't tell the mom that she broke up with the boyfriend because
Whoa.
the mom already bought the prom dress for the girl. And so and she found the new boyfriend. The girl found the new boyfriend. Boyfriend came from rich background. And so now she's dating this boy, and the mom thinks she's dating her ex, but so the whole show is based off her chasing a boy that, she really liked. And then the boy is like, you need to tell your mom that you don't date this boy no more. And she's like, I don't want to break my mom's heart. She just bought me this prom dress and I had to go to prom with my ex. And the
Mm,
boy is like, you dating me. Like, why do you have to, like you need to tell your mom or I'll tell her myself. And then his mom found out. Then the mom basically blackmailed. His mom blackmailed the daughter, was like, if you don't tell your mom that this boy set you out on social media, because I've saw it, my son friend showed me,
mm.
then I'm going to tell your mom yourself. And so she was like, you can't do that. You can't tell my mom. It was just couple teenage love, and
Yeah,
it's really
they
good. You
very
got to see a lot
nostalgic.
of that.
You done told me the whole
Yeah,
story,
very
though.
nostalgic. I don't even know how I explained it, but I did it. So yeah,
Well, that kind of takes me to, talking about forever. You started the first NAACP chapter at Washington University. That's huge. What are some
yeah.
of the biggest obstacles you had to overcome to making it real?
Um, the biggest obstacle that I had to overcome was challenging the university to take the NAACP on campus.
Mm,
There was a lot of back and forth of you need to change the constitution to fit the university standards. And as you know, being a part of an organization, just like just thinking about your podcast, and you have a mission statement and you have bylaws, you don't want to compromise your organization to fit someone else's institution because it will lessen the impact of your organization or of your show. So, and mind you, we're talking about the nation's oldest and boldest civil rights organization, and you're telling me I have to change this to fit your university
mm,
standards. And it was a challenge. The student union that oversees all the student organizations and campus organizations wanted to say that, like, no, we want to change a few things. And
mm,
we're not saying that you can't be on campus, but you have to change a few things to be on campus. And so we can't touch anything on that constitution, not a the, a what, or a her. Like, you can't change a word. That's something that is constitutionally bound. You don't want to change something so tangible like that. Something that everyone in the thousands of people in this organization live by as being a member of this organization. So for me to change that could be really bad.
mm,
And so it was a lot. It was a lot. And so overall, I didn't do it. I couldn't do it without my team. My team really helped me. We tried to say, hey, let's create a student resolution that still values WASU and NAACP.
mm,
WASU didn't want that. So we had the opportunity to be a department sponsor organization, and we're sponsored under the African and African American Studies Department, which is my major. Whoop whoop.
wow, that's
And and so they was like, sure, we'll take you all on. So we're under their wings, and we're still actively running as an organization. We're just not WashU recognized.
well, it was good that you could pivot like that. And you talked a lot
Yeah.
about Constitution. You talked a lot about, not changing anything and, standing the ground of what you believed in,
Yeah.
which makes me want to first congratulate you on joining Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. But
Thank you.
you're welcome. And I also wanted to ask, how has becoming a member of that organization shaped your leadership style and your approach to service?
Um, First, I would say you're part of an organization that has a lot of members that are somehow like-minded as you.
Hmm,
You all are joining an organization that values the same opinions, that are trying to be boots on the ground, getting to work,
hmm,
that really wants to make a difference in your community. So when you're surrounded in a room with people that are like-minded like you, that wants to do the work, that didn't just join the organization to not do anything, but joining the organization to make an impact in your community,
hmm,
you are constantly in a room where you feel like you're motivated to do something more, and you're constantly reminded that the fight isn't over, and you have people to lean on, and you have people to support you. I would say sisters to support you to continue to make an impact in your community or in this nation and in this world. And so having people like that in my life, as being a neo, as they say, joining a few months back, um, has been nothing short of amazing. And I know that as time goes on, I'm going to continue to make more connections. And I think that that's something that my sorority brings, is connections and
hmm,
sisterhood and leadership. We're big on education. We're big on making sure that young people have the resources that they need to be successful people. We're big on making sure that our sisters are getting put in places where they can grow, where they can elevate, where they can challenge themselves to be better, and where they can challenge themselves to be in positions that we thought that we could never be in. Shirley Chisholm, she was a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
wow.
And people like her and Barbara Jordan and all those, Angela Bassett, people that I looked up to are part of this organization. So we have people that are, just doing that work. And Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So having these women are constant motivators for me in my life and for a lot of women in our sorority.
It's great to hear you talk about it like that. It's takes me back to when I first crossed Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. But this is not about me, it's about you. If you could go back and talk to your 14-year-old self, 14-year-old Precious, before you started this journey, what advice would you give her to where you are now?
I would say that everything is going to be okay.
Hmm.
I think that around my mid-adolescence, I always questioned where my future was going to take me. This was also during a time where I really wasn't big in faith.
Hmm.
I think that was because of probably lack of maturity, growing up, not really experiencing a lot. And I constantly ask myself, how am I going to be able to make it in my future? How am I going to be able to be equipped to take on life's challenges?
Hmm.
And I think that the biggest advice that I'm learning to tell myself right now is that everything is going to be okay. And God has a plan for you bigger than you can see yourself.
Yep.
And once you continue to just walk by Him and walk by faith and not by sight,
Hmm.
and just allowing Him to do the things that He needs to do in your life for the better good, you will be okay. And it's not that I'm saying that I'll be okay, it's because God said I'll be okay.
Hmm.
And I think that that is so, and I believe that that is something that I am learning day by day. Life does give you challenges where you like, Lord, I don't know what you're doing right now, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm one of your strongest soldiers for this assignment. But I believe that God will never give you anything that you can't bear, and everything will be fine. So that's something that I'll give my 14-year-old self.
Awesome to hear. I like to ask my guests to come on the show. This is Underdog Pod. On who, if they had to pick one person, is their underdog, somebody that they looked up to growing up, currently somebody who is really showcasing that resilience, that perseverance, whether it's sports or whether it's somebody in real life. I know you said Shirley Chisholm earlier, but the floor is yours. Who's your underdog?
Mm, I would say this might be different, but my past.
Mm, okay.
Um, I think that every day I'm telling myself not to choose history over my own peace.
Mm,
I think that sometimes we look at our past and we seen all the things that we've been through, and then we ask ourselves in the current moment, what am I going to do now because of what I've been through, and letting that define us.
mm,
And I think that I'm learning that my past and the things that I've been through at such a young age has been nothing that I thought that broke me actually is a motivator to me, and that is, I would say, is starting to heal who I am and shaping my identity in a way that I can be able to help other people.
mm.
And so always looking at my past and things that I've been through and times where I didn't even know that I can make it, but by the grace of God, I got there. It has been nothing but a motivator to me, no matter how much it tried to break me. Um, and so I would say my past is my underdog.
Okay. And the last question for you before I let you go is if we were to fast forward 20 or 30 years from now, when people look back and talk about Precious Berry, what do you hope they'll say about your work and your impact?
That she fought the good fight.
I heard that. I heard that. And on that note, thank you so much for joining Underdog Podcast. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me. I'm
Oh, you're
really grateful.
welcome. I hope you like the music I played. And I know it looked like
I
you wanted
know.
to
I was
dance.
like, okay.
They still rapping about murder and money and stuff they don't got. The woman in ice. I'd
All
rather
right.
have love in my heart than I hate on my brother with murder and strife. Stop playing. See, I'm one with the king, what you saying? I'ma lose my soul for some bands. You can feed that junk to the spam.